Israel's political leaders increasingly confident that Hamas will release three more Israeli hostages this Saturday. On Thursday, the militant group said that it would go ahead with the release. Now, Hamas had threatened to delay the next release after accusing Israel of several ceasefire violations. The truce facing much bigger challenges in the coming weeks. The first phase is set to conclude in March. The second phase has yet to be agreed to. In theory, that would see Hamas release dozens of remaining hostages in return for an end to the war. Joining us on the set is our chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons. Hello to you, Rob.
Right.
We see this U-turn by Hamas. How do you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen confusion in the diplomacy in Europe, and there's at least as much confusion in the Middle East as well. I think what happened is that Hamas wanted to flex its muscles to show that it was an indispensable partner in the deal that's been struck for a ceasefire in Gaza, and it wasn't going to be pushed around by Israel or the United States. But that seriously backfired. I think its calculation was that because Donald Trump, it thought, wanted to push things forward to phase 2 of this agreement as fast as possible, and because the opinion polls in Israel were showing growing support for phase 2, with 70% of the population suggesting they were in favor, including a majority of those who support the right-wing coalition of Netanyahu. It thought, I think, that Benjamin Netanyahu wouldn't dare to block Hamas on this particular issue. Miscalculation. Donald Trump clearly had Netanyahu's back, and Netanyahu wasn't too bothered about the opinion polls, it turns out, because he felt confident that with Donald Trump backing him, that the right wing, which had threatened to pull out of his coalition if he didn't go back to war at the end of phase 1, would back him as well. And so Benjamin Netanyahu simply turned around to Hamas and said, look, if you go down this path, all hell will break loose. A statement that was backed up by Donald Trump as well. Hamas at that point was faced with a pretty awful choice. Either it caved in, or it accepted that the war would start again with all the consequences for its popularity in Gaza, where long-suffering people at last have got a chance to breathe. It could have reflected very badly on them indeed. I think it's because of that Hamas has had to climb down in this humiliating way.
Yeah, so miscalculation by Hamas, and the Gaza equation constantly changing, especially with Donald Trump back in the White House.
Yeah, I mean, now we have Marco Rubio, who's currently the Secretary of State, new Secretary of State, currently in Munich, helping in the negotiations there, about to go to Israel Saturday to try and push things forward in the diplomacy there as well. He's making it clear, too, that there can be no place for Hamas in the future negotiations, and saying, look, you may not like Donald Trump's proposal. You may think it's ridiculous, not the words he used, but come up with something better if you want to make a contribution to the diplomacy in the region. At the moment, nobody is coming up with an alternative. Now, the Arab states are due to meet on the 27th of February in Egypt, in Cairo, to come up with what they're saying is going to be a comprehensive vision for Gaza's future. So I suppose one could argue that, in a way, whatever else you think of Donald Trump's proposal, dismissed by many as ludicrous, that it is shaking things up, that it is pushing the Arab states to come up with their own solution for the people of Gaza.